Welcome back everybody to a brand new day in Anthem, and today we're going to be talking about the newest update 1.04. I'm going to go over my first impressions of it and talk about some of the stuff that has come up to light in the past day. Of course, I've been playing it a lot since it went live, as I'm sure many of you also did, and I've tested a lot of the things out to see exactly what's happening, what has changed, and it seems that there's a fair amount of people currently having a number of issues with the patch, so I'm going to go over all of that, over all of the fixes, some of the solutions, and so on. So let's start with the fact that a lot of players are reporting that the loot drops have been made significantly worse in the newest patch, and the most common problem talked about here is the removal of the guaranteed masterworks that used to drop from end bosses. There's also another one where other players in your party are able to pick up loot for you. So for example, if somebody in your party is fighting in another corner of the instance and happens to drop an epic, a masterwork, or a legendary, and he picks it up, you're also going to be able to see it popping up on your screen. Well, it seems that both of these were reported to be bugs with the new update, and the global community manager at Bioware came up with this announcement yesterday, soon after the patch went live, saying pretty much that there are a couple of issues with the loot and the team is investigating and working on a fix for Anthem. Now, I am able to confirm that both of these issues are happening, and I'm going to give my 2 cents over it in just a bit, but I can't confirm that the loot drops as a whole have been nerfed. In fact, the newest update brought me a significant increase in both masterwork and legendary drops. Despite me not having the guaranteed masterwork drops from end bosses in strongholds, I am now able to see these bosses now dropping legendary items, which I would much rather prefer rather than any other guaranteed masterworks. The amount of masterworks I see dropping in GM2 at least is now much higher compared to the previous updates, with the only exceptions of course being that of when the loot bugs were happening, and only then was I able to get much more loot than now. At some point I believe I was even able to get like 6 or 7 masterworks to drop simply from one legendary contract in GM1 or 2 I believe, which was way more than what I was getting, in 1.03, when at best I would be getting like 2, 3, at best 4 masterworks in the same mission. Going over the social media though, I'm also seeing a lot of mixed opinions and results though. So some people are reporting worse loot, while others are reporting similar results as me, as in increased drop chance, especially for masterworks and legendaries. Since I can't honestly give you a proper assessment of the situation, at least not so soon, I'm going to also kindly ask you guys to go ahead and post down below your experience with the loot drops since the newest patch. Tell me if you're seeing some improvements in this regard or not. I think right now we're much too early in the update to make a proper assessment, so there's definitely going to be needed for a lot more testing to be done and a lot more, time to pass up until we come up to a proper conclusion. Now, in terms of the bugs where other party members can pick up your loot, I'm honestly having some mixed opinions on this one, but generally speaking, I'm inclined to say that I kinda like this change. Many times it happened for a party member, for example, to fight a group of enemies in some other part of the instance, and I was able to get a masterwork or even a legendary in the process that I would have otherwise missed because I wasn't in that location. Yes, I am getting purples and blues in the process as well, since they can also be picked up by party members, but I wasn't going to avoid these anyway, and it's especially helpful and convenient the fact that now I am seeing more reliable masterwork and legendary items dropping, since my teammates can also pick them up for me in case I'm missing them. I'm fully expecting for a hotfix for these 2 issues in the upcoming days anyway, so expect for a hotfix soon. I mean, it's a massive patch with hundreds of changes, so a few bugs here and there are expected to come, but Bioware could have made out a public test client, for example, for these things to be tested out, if that means we don't have to see these problems always come up as soon as the new updates go live. But that is just my 2 cents, you don't have to agree with me. Nonetheless, let's move over to the next issue, which is still on the subject of loot, and now the chests can also drop embers. It looks like players are reporting that they're also getting embers from chests. I'm also able to report that as well, but it seems that a lot of players are reporting that they're losing actual items over these embers. Now, I did run all of my daily contracts, a handful of dungeons, both on GM1 and GM2, a lot of daily legendary missions several times, and not once did I notice losing items in the detriment of embers. In fact, I was able to consistently get these embers as extra loot on top of the items I would usually get. I think what's happening is that some people might think that they are losing items when in fact other party members might have picked up their loot for them. Either that or there's an issue affecting specific players under specific circumstances. So yeah, from my understanding, these crafting materials are supposed to be a bonus on top of the items you would already get. So in no way, shape or form is this intended to detract from whatever loot is that you're getting right now. It should be a bonus on top of that. I would also argue that now I'm able to actually get more masterworks more reliably, at least, because now I'm getting more masterwork embers, which lets me craft more masterwork gear. So that was definitely a noticeable bump for me, because I was able to get a ton of these masterwork embers in the process. And honestly, I don't need my harvest build anymore because I'm getting them passively from these chests. Nonetheless, I'm hoping Bioware will come up with an announcement on this subject soon and clarify things up, also with a hotfix, because yeah, a lot of people are up in arms about this right now on Reddit and on social media. Finally, the Elysian caches also have a bug of their own, where cosmetics that drop for you might not appear for you in the forge, and that has been confirmed to be a bug. And up until a hotfix comes up, here's a couple of things you can do in order to fix that. First of all, of course, you need to check up if that cosmetic that just dropped is for your current active javelin. Sometimes you might be playing with a certain javelin and the cosmetic that drops might be for a different one, so you just need to check the end expedition screen and it will tell you there pretty much for which javelin that cosmetic has just dropped. But if that is not the case and you simply can't see your cosmetic at all, then it's recommended to close the game and reopen it. Relogin has also been reported to work, but from my experience and my testing, it's much better to simply restart the entire client. Another fix, of course, would be to go into the launch bay and use the forge over there, as that would pretty much fix and pretty much do the same fix as well. But with these major problems out of the way, I want to go over my first impressions of the update after playing it for like 8 hours, I believe, as well as doing a lot of testing in the process. First of all, on my GTX 1070, Ryzen 1700 and 16GB of DDR4, I am seeing a noticeable performance increase at 1080p resolution. Up until a recent update, I had to actually go on medium-high settings, not because I couldn't maintain 16 FPS, but because I kept having stuttering issues and massive frame drops with no apparent reasons. But with the new update, update 1.04, I am now sitting at much higher FPS, like 10 FPS on top of that, so like somewhere around 75, sometimes 85, 90, even in combat, so a pretty noticeable bump. But the biggest one is that I'm not seeing any stuttering issues, any frame drops, at least not as much as I would before. So not really sure if it's the new update, not really sure if it's a recent Nvidia driver update that I did. So yeah, I'm seeing noticeable improvements, so I can't really complain. Moving over to the classes themselves, for now I only play my interceptor, but that is because I simply didn't have the time to test out the other javelins, because my interceptor right now is freaking amazing. I mean, these buffs that I just received are simply killing it. So yeah, I know a lot of people are reporting right now that the interceptor has been severely nerfed because, while the conductive lattice, which was a major DPS component, has been nerfed, well, that is actually not that true. It's as far from the truth as possible, and in fact, overall, the interceptor is now much stronger than ever before. So Bioware, what they did is that they made the interceptor to continuously detonate combos even when their aura effect is on, while previously they could not do that until the aura effect would go off. In the new update though, you can now continuously detonate as many enemies, as many targets as you can, as long as they are primed, and this makes up for some really amazing results. This means that you're going to be doing ridiculous amounts of damage and CC to the targets, as combo detonations scale much higher than the electric damage coming from the conductive lattice, and if you apply 2 debuffs on him, you're going to be able to continuously detonate the target every single second with every single hit is that you're doing. So that is really insane. Let's say you're like applying your regular acid debuff and the storm in your party also applies a freezing effect. You're going to be able to detonate that frost effect over and over again every single second, and not only that, but they're going to be able to stun lock him in the process, as well as everybody else around it, or at the very least severely slow him down. Most of the time it's of course completely stunning them and freezing them, but some of the enemies have some resistances to freezing effects, so they just get slowed down, but that is still a significant buff, and this doesn't even take into account the fact that a huge amount of abilities and components 4 interceptors have received a massive buff to their damage. Of course, we also have the health bug partially being fixed or fully fixed, I'm not really sure, but now I'm seeing my interceptor being much more tanky than ever before. I'm able to sustain much more damage than ever before. I'm not getting one shot at all. This hasn't happened to me at all, not even in GM2. Another huge buff is also for the Ranger, which I'm hearing right now is the highest DPS in the game, and that is because of some of the changes that it has received. Of course, if you check the patch notes, Ranger has received buffs over buffs over buffs, and also adding new effects. So there's currently a very overpowered build that you can use in order to pretty much melt everything, even in GM2 and 3. And one of the combinations that I've heard about is using Elemental Ops as well as Ember's Lance, and this creates an amazing synergy where we pretty much detonate everything in sight. So I'm going to probably drop a build on that really soon if people are still interested in builds. But overall, despite some of the bugs that have been reported and which I'm sure will get hotfixed soon, I'm very pleased with the new update. I love that there is now a reason for me to come back, change a lot of my builds and even create new cool ones. But yeah, again, this is just my 2 cents. Go ahead and post your opinion down below. In the meantime, if you guys enjoyed this video, a thumbs up would be super appreciated. Also, subscribe to the channel for more Anthem content, and I'll see you guys next time, so peace out.